shoot.
Okay, hell.
Are we going to start over? Are we going to completely start over again?
We're going to start over again.
Wait, we're actually going to start
edit this piece down.
Wow.
All right. Hello again, and welcome to Bullship with Bill and Matt. Bill is laughing because we tried and I lost internet for a second. And so this is going to be our second recording of the first intro part of our podcast. But anyways, today is going to be Bill's turn to talk about a subject that he is intimately familiar with, and I will be acting as the rest of our audience, asking him questions from whatever random things pop into my mind. So, Bill, do you want to kind of introduce that topic?
Yeah, first of all, it's a shame, dear listener, that you didn't hear the first introduction that Matt did because it was super high quality, at least by his standards. But we'll go with this one because we're not very good at editing. Yeah, so the topic today
but you can keep doing you can do the ramble. It's okay, Bill. You can act. You can bring it back up. It's fine.
Bring what back up? What are you talking about?
Okay, never mind. I'll see if I can. I'm gonna edit this out and see if I can find it and just put it back in there.
Wow. All right. I'm just gonna keep going like this is a fresh start because I didn't think that we had any kind of editing capabilities whatsoever. But please. I'll let you. Yeah, I'll let you give it a try. So. We'll do it twice. We'll see which one you like best.
See.
And you can do all the editing to make it perfect and magical.
I will keep being the backbone of this podcast, Bill. That's perfectly fine.
I'm very, very happy being the weight that's dragging you down.
Yes.
So what I want to talk about today is actually something that you said a while back in one of our early episodes that I think is probably not going to be released. Hopefully not going to be released.
It's going to stay in the vault, Bill. That one does not need to see the light of day.
One of our early tries that was not our finest.
Yeah, you got to get a few down. Just kind of get your wits about you, get your feet under you.
A far cry from the podcasting perfection that we are exhibiting right now.
Currently.
But do you know what it is that you said?
I feel like I've asked you a lot of things. Whatever it was that is jogging your memory was certainly an astute and well thought out comment. But I'm not entirely sure what it might have been.
I would say more triggering than astute from my perspective. So what you said was we were talking about demand plans, and you said, well, why can't the demand planners just get the demand plan right?
Yes, why can't you?
So, as a former demand planner, as I said, it was a little tricky.
This is not former, I feel.
No, I'm no longer a demand planner. Mm-hmm. I should also say that as also someone who spent a lot of time on the supply planning side, I can understand the sympathy. I can understand the sentiment. I used to say the exact same thing until I got into demand planning. So I wanted to talk today about why you should never say what you just said, and in particular, never say it to a demand planner.
I feel like, okay, so I'm going to let you talk. I'm going to let you cook for a while, and then I'm going to interject with the other part of my statement, because I now remember exactly what I said. So I'm going to hold that. I'm going to write a note down and hold on to it for just the right moment. So please tell me about demand planning while I write this note to myself.
I can't wait because after you said that, I think I just blacked out for a second. So I have no idea what you said after that. This will be news to me too. All right. So
introduce the comment.
Why can't we just get the demand plan right? And the answer is because we can't predict the future. And that's the end of the podcast. That's it. That's why we can't get the demand plan right.
Boom. Done. We didn't even get a chance to talk about advertisers or anything like that, Bill. Wow. Just crushed it. 4 minutes, 4.5 minutes. Done.
It's our shortest podcast yet. No. So, I mean, I don't think I need to get into this too much. Yes, there's all kinds of reasons why we can't predict the future, right? Can't predict what consumers are going to do because they're crazy and fickle and have all kinds of weird tastes that change all the time. There's all kinds of supply chain issues that pop up that cause product maybe to not be available when Matt's shaking his head.
No,
that never happens.
Never happens.
Yeah. There's macroeconomic conditions. There's pricing. There's advertising. The promotions you just said. So it's all kinds of reasons why it is super super complicated to.
There's weather as well.
There's weather, which is getting weirder all the time. Exactly.
Yes.
So lots and lots of reasons why you can't predict the future. So I'm going to kind of reset now. Can we just take a deep breath and accept the fact that we can't predict the future.
As much as it pains me, because I feel, Bill, like you have been paid good money to do just that. And if you're not capable of doing it, then of what value are you to me?
So what we need to do is accept the fact that we can't predict the future, and instead let's focus on how can we make the demand plan as good as we can make it.
Okay.
And what do I mean by that? Right. So how good does it need to? Right. How good does it need to be? Also, like, we don't have infinite resources, right? We can't hire 1,000 demand planners to scrutinize every aspect of the demand plan and get everything exactly right. And computers can do a lot of this now, actually, but they're not totally there. We can talk about that. But
AI, machine learning.
Exactly. But you still need human intervention there, and how much human intervention can you actually bring to bear? There's
now,
a
Bill,
limit.
it sounds like you're talking yourself into a job here.
Back into demand planning?
Maybe.
No,
who knows?
Never. There's a reason I'm not a demand planner anymore.
You just guess, and if the numbers are wrong, and then you can go like, oh, well, whatever. They were wrong.
It does feel like that sometimes. But so where I'm going with this is that you want to understand, you can't scrutinize the whole demand plan all the time. And the fact is that you don't actually need the entire demand plan to be super, super accurate in every aspect of that plan.
Okay.
You want to understand what decisions are being made based off of the demand plan, how it's being used, and then focus your efforts on getting those aspects of the demand plan right, or as right as possible, and worrying less about the other point. It's all about the decisions that you make. So I'll give you an example.
I was just about to ask for a scenario.
Okay, great. So let's say you're a business that, I don't know, sells anime paraphernalia, clothes, collectibles. It could happen, right?
It's possible.
Yeah. All right. So you probably have a demand plan, and that demand plan is being used for a number of different purposes. For instance, it tells us how much product we need to manufacture or order. Right? Okay. We need to make sure that product is coming in, and we need to know how much we should be ordering, making, whatever you do. And these decisions come with a certain lead time. Maybe your product takes 4 months from point of order. I'm making something up.
That's pretty quick from what I've seen, but continue.
Okay, good, great. So your supply chain is nice and lean and fast, and that's awesome. Let's say it takes 4 months. Let's say it takes 6 months, whatever it takes. And we're talking about ordering items, right? Individual items.
Things.
Yes, things, right? A vinyl figure, a coat, whatever it is you're making.
Yes.
So you've got a demand plan. You're making a decision based on your demand plan on a 4-month lag at the item level. So we're recording in November right now. So if so your demand planners you'd want them to be focusing on like the March and April time period at the item level, and making sure that all their ducks are in a row, specifically in that time period. We want to get as good as we can at the item level in kind of like the March, April timeframe, because you're going to be placing orders now that are going to support demand in March and April of 2025.
Now, let me ask you this question, because I am not good at math. That's why I just move stuff around for a living. Does a demand plan, is it like you're saying March and April, but it's November? There's a couple of months in there, right? If I'm adding 4 to 11, it's going to bring me around to 2, right? 2, 3? Are you including time in your demand plan?
I was starting in December, but because you're
better November, than that, Bill.
Your November demand plan is probably
just go where I was
right
going with you. You were including transportation time into your demand plan.
Yes,
so yes, needing 4 months of making and producing things, and then some level of move stuff from wherever to where you're selling it for demand when you have planned for it. Well done, Bill. I can see why you were a professional demand planner.
There you go. That's why they pay me the big bucks, as you say. Yes, thanks, Matt.
Exceptional.
For that.
They did not pay you enough, Bill.
No, we're never paid enough, are we? Anyway, so that's one decision point, and there are other decision points that you're making based on the demand plan.
Yes.
Okay, so something that is maybe a little closer to home for you, like capacity planning at your DCs, right? You have to plan your labor, and yes. I don't know. I'm again going to take a guess, and it's probably way off, but maybe you're planning your labor, 3 or 4 weeks in advance of when you need it.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, yeah. Great. And maybe you've got multiple DCs in your network, so you're planning your labor at each DC. You're shaking
God
your head.
bless you if you have multiple DCs. That is so much harder than people give it credit for.
It is, but people do it, right? And you've got to plan all that at each DC. And so here's another decision point that you need your demand plan to support you with, right?
Tell me.
You need to figure out how much labor you need. And so you want to know maybe how many units you're going to ship out of each DC.
Yes.
Next month, right?
Need to know that, yeah.
Exactly. But it doesn't matter so much what items you're shipping, does it? I mean, you want to know your heavy hitters, right? You want to know your top ones so you can stage things properly in the warehouse. But you don't need to like a super precise volume number at the item level, the way that you want when you're placing your orders.
Now, here's where I'm going to stop you. I'm going to stop you for 2 things. First thing is that we need to plug our sponsor now. Do you have a sponsor that you want to plug this time, Bill?
I said I was going to, and I don't. But so take it away, Amplifier.
We're talking about. Don't give away.
It's no surprise.
Bill.
All right. I'm sorry, Matt. Please.
Speaking of demand planning and warehouses, one of the best in the game right now, a place called Amplifier. They're based in Austin. They do direct-to-consumer warehousing and 3PL. They are fantastic. Go look them up. Amplifier.com, I think, is their website. I'm such a great promoter for them. Talk to our friends, Macon Stokes down there, and they will get you set up. Easy platform. They integrate both with Shopify and Squarespace. Any platform that you have that you're currently selling your e-commerce on, you can integrate with them if you're looking for a fantastic 3PL. Can and will always recommend our friends at Amplifier. All right, now that we've paid the bills, Bill, the second thing I want to talk about is, yes, your volume in relation to labor matters to some extent, unless that item being shipped has to have a different level of like care in shipping, then it matters what like the details are, right? So let's say, like our friends at Amplifier, they do on-demand printing for shirts. That requires a different level of processing and demand. And so you need to have a more detailed forecast in those situations.
Yes.
That's my one caveat into this whole deal.
I'm making a lot of blanket statements. And yes, there are nuances to all of this always. It's supply chain, so it's all nuance, right? But
I'm going to catch you in the nuance still.
But I would even say in that situation, and I don't know enough about what they how they do the printing on T-shirts and whatnot, but I'm going to guess that there's some level of aggregation that can take place there from a labor standpoint, right? At a labor standpoint, you maybe want to know at a category level that we're going to probably sell 1,000 of these shirts that need extra processing, right? And you don't care. Is it small, medium, large? Is it blue? Is it pink? Is it whatever, right? You just want to know at that and that's important because it's much easier to get good accuracy at a higher level of aggregation in the demand plan.
What I'm hearing you say, Bill,
yes,
is that if you spread the peanut butter on the sandwich, the more that you spread on it, the better it's going to be. Is that right?
I'm having a hard time seeing through that analogy, so I'm just going to say yes and move on.
That's
just
you're
yes
such an expert podcaster. Just say yes and move on.
Yes, peanut butter, Matt. We talked about peanut butter over Halloween. Peanut butter is one of my
Is peanut butter spread not a thing that y'all say?
Well, yeah, but I'm just trying to understand exactly how that applies to the situation. Maybe I'm missing something.
We're really digging into it. We are. I want to have time for supply chain chat. Keep talking.
Yeah. All right. So the point is that there's all these different decision points that you
Yes.
make based on the demand plan, and they matter at different lags, right? Because you're not just making one demand plan and running with it. You're redoing that demand plan every week, every month, every quarter, whatever your cadence is.
What?
Yeah,
That's a lot.
yeah. What did you think we do? You just make one that goes out until like 2030 and just fire all your demand planners?
No, I mean I thought that y'all made one like for the year and then you revised it at the half and then maybe quarterly you're seeing how you're doing against it.
I mean, I would say that's gonna vary by for a number of different reasons. So where I work, we've got a monthly cadence, and we even have a weekly cadence for certain. Yeah,
Weekly?
yeah, yeah. I know.
Okay, we're
But
getting way off topic, but I am so interested in this now. If you're making weekly change, like reforecasting weekly,
yep.
do you ever get like drift, right? Do you find like can you be accurate if you're reforecasting every week, or do you find that there's like drift in your forecast away from what like actual might be?
I mean, whether you're forecasting weekly, monthly, or once a quarter, whatever, that drift that you're talking about is forecast bias, right? Are you consistently forecasting too high or too low? So now we're starting to talk. This is maybe a little bit. It's close enough. We can keep talking about it, but now we're talking about the metrics that you want to use to evaluate the quality of your demand plan.
Gotcha.
And actually, I will tie it back to what we're saying, because often I find people getting this wrong. They will just pick one metric and say, we're going to measure absolute percent error on a 3-month lag, and that's going to be our measurement of the quality of our demand plan. And
now, please define that term, because
is peanut butter spread. Sorry, go ahead. Yes.
What does that term, that KPI you just mentioned, what does that mean? Absolute what?
Percent error. This is one common way of measuring forecast error, and it's very simple. It's you take your forecast and you subtract your actuals from the corresponding forecast, and then you divide that by your forecast, and you take the absolute value, and that becomes a percentage, and it's supposed to tell you the percentage wrong that your forecast was.
This is so highbrow. So let me give a scenario, because we're like, I'm so stuck. I'm not good at math. Let me be very clear. So if I said I was going to sell 100 units and I actually sold 90,
yes,
work that math out for me, please, so that I know what.
That's a 10% error. That is
okay.
Right. 100 minus 90 divided by 100.
Okay.
It's 10 divided by 100. That's 10% error. And you take the absolute value. So in this case, your bias is -10, right? Because you were, or I always forget which direction it goes in, but you're right. Your bias, yeah. Is that a negative or positive? I always forget this one. That's what Google is for. But you're right. If you consistently, so here's the drift that you're talking about. Let's say your forecast is 100 units per month for the next 4 months, and each month you sell 90.
Mm-hmm.
Your error is 10% each month, but you've got a bias as well because you are consistently under forecast or over forecasting.
Got it.
Right. And so demand planners should be watching these metrics and should be responding to them. If you've got consistent bias, then you want to do something about it. You want to, if you're over forecasting, you want to tamp it down. If you're under forecasting, you want to jack it up a little bit. Yeah. So yeah, and there's lots of different ways to measure forecast error. I'm not even going to pretend to be expert enough to have that stuff off the top of my head.
It's no longer your profession, Bill, so it doesn't matter anymore, right?
I do a lot of things in supply chain. I'm in analytics, so really, really, I should be doing this stuff, but
okay,
it's not off the top of my head, and we don't want to get too far into the weeds of the math there. But lots of different ways to look at it, and your demand planners absolutely should be looking at those kinds of metrics.
Okay, so you're at the beginning of the year, you're guessing on like what you think you're going to sell because of something, historical data, gut feeling, etc.
Yep. Yep. Hopefully not gut
Then
feeling, but yep.
hopefully, right? But if you're a new business,
But
you're getting
probably.
gut.
But I'll be
Okay.
realistic. Probably. Yeah. That's probably part of it.
And then you're revising that forecast, but you've already moved. In some instances, you've already moved based off of what you assumed would happen, what you guessed would happen.
Yep.
And in the best case scenario, you've under forecasted for what you're actually getting. So you're going to sell more, right? Like best case scenario, you sell more than what you expected.
I'm
Great
going to
problem
pause
to
you.
have.
I'm going to pause you right there. I'm going to guess. I'm going to give you a multiple choice question here.
Okay.
Is it better to over forecast, or is it better to outperform the demand plan, underperform the demand plan, or perform to the demand plan?
Okay. So your question is it better to sell more, sell less, or sell the exact amount?
Yes.
I would say sell the exact amount.
That is correct.
That feels like a very safe answer.
Yes, that is right. You want, if you're consistently beating your forecast, your sales teams are thrilled, but your operations teams are really pissed off because
Absolutely hate you. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Your inventory starts to drop to very low levels, and you're scrambling to get more product in stock. You're scrambling to bring on more labor. You might be squeezed from like a DC capacity perspective. All kinds of
But
things
Bill,
can happen if you consistently overperform the forecast.
To be fair to you, Bill, as an operations professional, operations professionals are extremely fickle because if you were underperforming your forecast, then we would have excess inventory and we'd hate you probably just as much, if not more.
Yes, which is why the correct answer is best to perform to the forecast. I'm saying this. I mean, we in operations know, right? Interesting. You just intuited it, right? Like we know. We just perform to the forecast and we're happy.
Yeah.
But what happens is everybody else wants to outperform the forecast. And
yes.
So if sales gets too much of an opportunity to meddle in the demand planning process, then they will have jury-rig the forecast to be a little bit lower than they actually think it's going to be, which makes them look better, and that messes with your operations.
Here we go. What is it? What's the old saying? Under-deliver, over-perform, right? That's the thing.
Under-promise, over-deliver.
Under-promise. Thank you.
Yes.
There we go. All right, Bill, we have reached 23 minutes of this new recording. Is there anything else you want to talk to us about? I feel like we could keep going. There might be a round two about like kind of the specifics.
I've got other stuff here and I think we should save it, but to give our dear listener a little flavor of what that looks like.
There's like 20. There's dozens.
We know we're going to have forecast error, so the solution isn't to say demand planning, just do better. The solution is to say, okay, let's look at these decision points that we are talking about and identify where the forecast is really kind of performing maybe in a manner so poorly that it's detrimental to the business, and let's focus on how we fix those. But then at the same time, let's figure out how do we mitigate forecast error through things like safety stock, inventory policies, lead time reductions, those kinds of things.
I really just want to loop back and say that what you just said was, and I quote, not demand planners not like do better, but then you listed off ways for demand planners to do better.
So
I caught you.
There's a difference, though. There's a difference from just saying, why can't the forecast be accurate? And saying, okay, it looks like our 4-month lag is at the item level is not performing quite as well as we would like. What are some steps that we can take to make that better so that our procurement processes, our ordering, our manufacturing are not scrambling quite so much, right? There's a big difference in those kinds of in those two conversations. And so we should all be trying to improve all the time. Matt, we're in operations, right? We're always trying to continuously improve.
I see you, Bill. I see you.
There you go. I got you.
We've landed the plane now, Bill. Thank you. Right. Thank you for bringing us into that nice, smooth landing. What do you have on the bill for on the docket for supply chain chatter today?
Supply chain chatter. So I came across an article I found in the New York Times, so I think it's been widely reported, This is a couple weeks ago, I think. I don't see the date on it right here. I'm sure the dates. It happened sometime in October. About $390,000 worth of British cheese went missing. Did you hear
Yes.
about this? Yes.
Yes, I did. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I'm glad that I know what you're talking about. Yes, I heard about
20,
this.
22 metric tons of, they're saying rare cheddar. I don't know how rare it is to get 22 metric tons of it, but quality artisanal cheddar went missing. And yes, this is kind of a heist thing, but it's very much, in my mind, related to operations, right?
Yes.
Because there's a whole. If you read the article, it sounds like what happened was they got this request, and this is a well-known dairy too, Neal's Yard in London.
Yeah.
I used, we've talked about that. I used to work in cheese, and they are super renowned. Like they are the place to be for British cheese. So it's not some two-bit operation. Um,
And
but but they
from
got
what I
duped. Yeah.
understand, this is not the first time that they got duped. I think it happened another time as well, like before this. But this one was bigger than the last time.
That you could be right about that. I did. I heard somebody else reporting about this, and it wasn't the first time that a large amount of cheese went missing. They didn't. I think
Yeah.
it happened to other companies as well. But
Okay.
it sounds like probably some Russian oligarch posed as a French grocery chain and called up Neal's Yard and said, "Hey, we'd like to work with you to get a whole bunch of cheddar, and we're going to put it in all of our stores." And they just went with it, and they didn't do anything to verify that this was actually a real customer who was going to pay them.
Yeah. Yeah. So this brings up an interesting point about like a very underknown part of sales in the supply chain. You have to know who you're selling to. Like if you have a new customer, right, outside of e-commerce, so let's say like business to business, there are like checks that you do. Like there's due diligence to know like are you gonna pay me for this stuff? Especially as you're talking like we're getting into accounting now, but like when you're talking in terms like payment terms, when you get into like net 15, net 30, meaning like after I deliver goods, you have 30 days to like pay in a net 30 scenario. Net 30 is a lot, and like getting the net 30 terms with the business is it's glorious. Like you know like you've reached the pinnacle. Like you have good credit history, you're a good payer, you've got a lot of people vouching for you. But yeah, this is totally a thing that like fraud and theft in the supply chain is totally a problem, and requires like a lot of like belief between two companies. And so yeah, if Neal's Yard was not like somehow allowed them to be on net 15, net 30 terms, like shame on you. You should have done better due diligence before you started like shipping metric tons of cheese.
I knew you. Yeah, I knew
Excellent.
you'd be into that. Yeah, but yeah. At the same time, I feel bad because like I've been there. I used to. I think I used to buy from them when I was in one of my first jobs. They're good people, and the farmers are that they work
Yeah.
with are good people.
I
It's
I'm
it's a shame, but it's a good lesson.
how many tons of cheese was that they stole?
22.
22. That's that build. That in like real terms, that's a 20 to 25 full truckloads that were loaded and shipped away. Like that's a lot of cheese
Yes, it is.
that they just went, "Sure, here you go.
Yep,
Out the door, bye. Thank you."
yep, yep.
Amazing. Astounding. Sad day
It
for them.
for cheese aficionados everywhere, cheese lovers.
You can say the cheeseheads. It's okay, Bill. I know that you
Cheeseheads.
wanted to.
I did. Yes. Bad day for cheeseheads.
Well, Bill, thank you so much for the very informative talk today about demand planning and forecasting. Well, we didn't get to forecasting. We talked about demand planning and about cheese. Well
We're
done.
talking
That
about
was a
cheese.
really solid. You hit it out of the park today. Thank you very much, Bill.
It's been great bullshipping with you as always, Matt.
All right. Thank you to everyone who's listening. Come on back for another one.